I think first impressions are actually critical, because if you're looking through the Crowdcube site, you've got a whole menu of different ideas, right? And you will literally probably take half a second to decide whether or not you're going to read on.
First impressions are hugely important. The way that you project, the simpler way that you can actually try and sell what you're trying to sell is probably one of the most important things as well. Don't complicate it. But yes, first impressions are very important.
Valuation is just a starter conversation. I think that you can't aim for the moon necessarily when you first talk to people, because they need to take you seriously. But at the end of the day, they need to know you're behind this business.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs who see this video would be in the same place as I did. I had no idea how to value a business, and I think it's really quite difficult if you're a startup. There are all these different valuation equations depending on what industry you're in, and it's really quite complex. Don't be afraid to ask Crowdcube for help, saying, I need help understanding how to value my own business, and they would point you in the right direction.
I think my one bit of advice would be, looking back on it, is not to be too greedy and not to try and push for a big evaluation, because what tends to happen then, if you need to do another round, you always got to be thinking a couple of years down the line. If you're thinking about another round, then you're setting yourself up for a fall if you put your first round valuation really high. So the best thing you could do is keep it low to think about maybe your next round of investment, if that's the way in which you're going.
So there's lots of ways of doing it without having to pay for a research agency. If you're a food company, sign up for a weekend food stall in a food market, ask some friends to fill out surveys, and ideally it would be really great if your concept could not just be a concept, but already have had early days of selling. Some sort of proof that can show that it actually is a sound concept that people like and people are willing to spend money on.
So for the first 6 months when we had the idea, I think that's pretty much all we did. We just kept on searching out there, see what else was out there, see how they were doing it, and we just kept on coming back to the same conclusion. There was nothing quite like what we were trying to do. So that was our market research, essentially, and we're always doing market research even now.
Direct market research was just calling out bars and speaking to friends. How many bottles of this are you selling a month? How many bottles of this are you selling a month? And that's, of course, the starting point is what's currently selling, what kind of rate of sale is it, and building the plan based on how many bars you have.
Market research can take you to a certain point, but then after that it's really for the entrepreneur to have, to have the full picture.
It's good to know that someone's tried to make those steps and found the basic market growth rates, whether or not there's a gap in the market for their service. That's important to understand and to try and have some kind of criteria against which to benchmark. But at the end of the day, I think any of these investments are going to be made on a do you believe in the story.
A lot of the investors were not professional investors, so they don't want to see a crazy, complicated model they just want to understand in one glance how it could all work. So keeping it simple was the main thing for us. So in terms of financials, you just really wanted to cover the basics and make sure that you don't make any glaring mistakes. So make sure all the columns add up, VAT is included, you've accounted for all of the sensible things. Get it sense checked by people at Crowdcube.
The great thing that the government is doing for small businesses they are encouraging people to invest in small businesses by offering tax relief. It comes in two forms, so EIS, the Enterprise Investment Scheme, and SEIS, which is the Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme.
And those things are really big taxable implications for your investors and make your pitch way more valuable to them, because there's huge tax breaks that are available. Go through the process of getting the paperwork done and getting yourself ready for it, because it's a no-brainer otherwise.
For me, the best way for an entrepreneur to create an eye-catching proposition, something that's going to grab that investor, is video, actually. I mean, I think that before you even get to that stage, if you haven't got a solid business plan and the numbers don't stack up, then forget it. Having that visual, it doesn't have to be a video, it could be an animation, or it can be a series of photos if you like, but actually people they want something that's easily understandable, and actually a video can do that.
I think a good video needs to do two things. It needs to communicate the personality, the commitment and drive of the individual entrepreneur, and it needs to communicate the product offering, what they're selling, what the business is really all about, and instill a credibility in that, so you end up with confidence.
I think for me, a good video is the entrepreneur and seeing the inspiration, seeing the passion, seeing the excitement that they have for their business. Also, it's about seeing the market potential, and within that 2-minute period where the entrepreneur comes on video, being able to understand what the proposition is, understand what the entrepreneur's vision for the future is, and really understanding what the market and the opportunity is.
What are the summary topics that I would look for in terms of attracting my interest to any given investment? Primarily, it would be what is the product and why is it different? How is it going to break into the market, and why have other people failed if they have failed, and why are you going to succeed? Other than that, some bare bones financial metrics, how much are you looking for and how much has been contributed already would be the key items I'd look for.